Unmatched flavor of natural live fire grilling, then look no further than the Big Green Egg. Forget the pellets, the propane, the knockoffs. Roll with the best. An authentic Big Green Egg grill backed by a free lifetime warranty. Yes, lifetime. It's that good. Grill, roast, smoke, or bake. It is easy to light. It's simple to use. Shop online for free home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's delivery to your door by a dealer in your community. Go to biggreenegg.com.
Greenville Utilities electric customers will soon be able to receive text notifications in the event of power outages. Enrollment is automatic, so make sure GUC has your cell phone number by signing into your account at GUC.com, then update the information in your user profile. Want to talk with someone instead? Call 252-752-7166 during business hours. 252-752-7166. Update us so we can update you. Visit GUC.com for more information.
Jeff Stein from Brown & Wood, our special guest today. Jeff, the holiday travel season is here. Folks are going to be traveling. How can you help them out in the service department?
With the winter months coming, customers are putting on new tires, getting alignments, making sure we check their brakes. We also have an increase in parts inventory, so that's speeding up the process for the customer. And don't forget, we have free pickup and drop-off. To make an appointment, you can visit our website at brownandwood.net or give us a call at 252-355-6080. Brown & Wood, 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 rooftops, and 1 goal to make sure you leave a happy customer.
Where can you go where the beer is cold and friendship is forever? Pabst is the place that's in our hearts where we can be together.
Pabst Blue Ribbon. This is the place.
Hey Pirate fans, get stocked up for tailgating season with PBR at your favorite retailer. Look for the QR code on the PBR display and register for a chance to win a pizza oven. Game day or any day, all Pirates prefer PBR.
Whether you're at the worksite or the trailhead, you need an ATV with power and performance, technology to make every job easier, and a time-tested promise of quality and dependability. You need the 2022 Honda 4Trax lineup, available now at Ron Ayers Motorsports, Highway 11 north of the airport in Greenville. Then you'll learn how life is better on a Honda ATV. For riders 16 years old and older, Honda recommends that all ATV riders take a training course and read the owner's manual thoroughly.
All right, Pirate Nation, Russell's is ready for the holidays. Our huge in-stock inventory makes shopping easy. New additions include Barber for men and women, plus Owner Reserve for the men. Enjoy your holidays and don't worry about lost packages and back orders. We've been making Christmas wishes come true for 39 years in the same location. Not only is our signature gift wrap beautiful, it's free. It's always about you, our Pirate friends and customers at Russell's Clothing in downtown Washington.
Go Pirates!
Warren's Hot Dog Pizza, homemade lemonade.
Hungry for game day, Pirate Nation? Take advantage of the Warren's Hot Dogs tailgate special of 10 or more hot dogs for only $1.50 each. And the best part, this special is available every day. Just call ahead and Warren's will have your order ready to go. Hungry for breakfast? Warren's Hot Dogs in Chocowinity opens at 5 a.m. with cheese biscuits, chicken biscuits, sausage dogs, and more. Warren's Hot Dogs in Greenville, across from Ron Ayers, or in Chocowinity next to the fire station. Go Pirates!
The convenience of Pitt Greenville Airport is waiting just outside your front door. Service is back, so you're connected to destinations worldwide through flights from American Airlines. Plan your next trip. Book your flights today at flypgv.com or aa.com.
Avoid the long check-in lines and congestion at the big airports and fly local at PGV. Fast, convenient, and close to home, PGV has American Airline flights perfect for your next trip. Book today at aa.com. PGV, where the pirates fly.
While you're sleeping, our whole hogs are slow cooking over wood to create that bite that Eastern North Carolina is known for. I'm Sam Jones, and for more than 3 generations, my folks have been the torchbearers for what whole hog barbecue is supposed to be. At Sam Jones, you'll find plenty of smoke, but no mirrors. Everything, and I mean everything, is made fresh daily, including our sides, sweets, and sauces. Come on over and see us at Sam Jones Barbecue, and I bet you'll be able to taste our passion in just one bite. Sam Jones Barbecue, Fire Tower Road.
This is Pirate Radio, WGHB Farmville, 1250 and 92.7 FM Greenville, WDLX Washington, 930 and 104.1 FM Washington. The following is an exclusive presentation of Pirate Radio, the voice of the pirate nation. This is Eastern Carolina's longest-running sports radio show. The Brian Bailey Show is on the air. The Brian Bailey Show is powered by Greenville Utilities and also brought to you by
Angus Grill, Bostic Sugg Furniture, Bojangles, East Coast Grading, Papa John's, Pepsi, The Rick House, Greenville Utilities, BMS Builders, Seared Chop House, The Gavigan Agency, Taft and Hagler, Tiebreakers, and Greenville Auto World.
And now, here's Brian Bailey.
Happy Thanksgiving week, everybody. On this Monday, East Carolina coming off of that 42-3 drubbing at the hands of the Houston Cougars. We're going to talk Pirate football for the first half of our show today. Second year as the passing game coordinator, tight ends coach, inside receivers coach Latrell Scott is going to join us as the Pirates try to bounce back. And they've got a kind of a, not a short week, but a holiday week to try to do that with Thanksgiving set for this Thursday. The second half of our show, we'll talk high school football. A couple of area teams still alive as far as state championships are concerned. Jeff Craddock and his Tarboro Vikings on the 1A ranks, and Torrey Now and his New Bern Bears on the 4A ranks. We'll have that for you coming up later on in our show. Latrell Scott joins us first, and we'll have that for you coming up next on The Brian Bailey Show.
All anniversaries are special, but because it's Bostic Sugg Furniture's 85th anniversary extravaganza, we packed a lot into our big extravaganza with not one, not two, but 3 ways to save. Extra 10% off, plus 1937 local delivery, plus 6 months special financing on all in-stock and custom orders. Change your mattress, change your life, and get 48 months special financing during the big 85th anniversary extravaganza on now at Bostic Sugg Furniture.
Greenville Utilities electric customers will soon be able to receive text notifications in the event of power outages. Enrollment is automatic, so make sure GUC has your cell phone number by signing into your account at GUC.com, then update the information in your user profile. Want to talk with someone instead? Call 252-752-7166 during business hours. 252-752-7166. Update us so we can update you. Visit GUC.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Ken Hagler of Taft and Hagler. We're proud to be sponsors of the Brian Bailey Show and the Pirate Nation on Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation. If you've been injured on the job or due to someone else's negligence in an automobile collision, call us at 752-2000 for a free consultation with experienced professionals who care. Go Pirates!
It's bow time. So it's game time, and you got a bunch of rabid fans.
Dad, we're hungry.
You head out to fire up burgers and dogs and go from grill master to MVP. Then you realize you're out of gas. Yup, out of gas on game day. What do? Drop a big bow box on it. Game on. Feed a family of 4 with 8 pieces of chicken, biscuits, fixins, and tea. It's bow time.
This is John Gavigan with the Gavigan Agency. Our top priority is doing what is best for our members. Whether you are buying a new vehicle, a new home, protecting your family with life insurance, or filing a claim, our agency will be there every step of the way. Our goal is to become a trusted advisor for you and your family for all of your personal and commercial insurance needs. Give us a call in Greenville at 756-1400 for a car, home, business, or life insurance quote today, and give us the opportunity to show you the benefits of doing business with someone who cares.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville, do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best. Everybody loves burgers.
Hi, this is Phil Steele of Phil Steele's College Football Preview Magazine, and you're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, providing reliable utility solutions to the Greenville region since 1905. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back to our show. Latrell Scott joins us from his office over at East Carolina. As we said, it's not a short week this week, but it's a different kind of week with a Thanksgiving Day holiday set for this Thursday. But Coach Scott joins us. And, Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, Brian. How about yourself?
Not too bad. When you look at the game from the other day, is it one of those things that when you start looking at the tape, you're like, look, let's just move on, flush it, it's over with, and let's just go forward and look forward to Temple?
Well, obviously it was a tough Saturday night and Sunday for us. I think in terms of flushing it, I think you kind of have to watch it and find out what you did wrong and what you could have done better. But it was good to get back out on the practice field with the guys last night and, kind of see them, because obviously we were all embarrassed by what happened. That's not who we are. That's not the type of program that Coach Houston, our coaching staff, wants to put on the field. And our guys, we understand what our issues were, and we got back out on the practice field last night and started working.
Yeah, I know that obviously it was one of those just disastrous afternoons at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium that we don't see very often. I think a couple of things came away from that. I think when you try to analyze it, did the loss to Cincinnati have a hangover effect into this game, or was there too much emotion with the senior day activities, or was it just one of those games? If you coach in this game long enough, as you have, every once in a while you have one like this.
Well, definitely. I think the first thing you have to do is credit Houston. Coach Holgerson and his offensive and defensive staff put together a good plan, and they got after us. And whether it was senior day, whether it was the Cincinnati hangover, we just didn't play well enough to win. So, our focus shifts to Temple and getting Power football back on track.
Temple coming up this week, the Owls at 3-8, 1-6 in the American. But this is a Temple football team I think you guys have seen on tape that's playing much better of late.
No question about it. Stan Drayton, their head coach, is a longtime friend of mine. We worked together at Tennessee, and you can see Stan's fingerprints, starting to mold the program. They're physical. They get after you. They play with a lot of passion, and, they've struggled, but they haven't quit, and they've shown the ability to put up some points on offense, and they've got a physical defense. So we're going to have to go play power football to win the game on Saturday.
And, you look at it this late in the season, you can kind of look at games that the Pirates have played, games that the Temple Owls have played. Temple lost in overtime to Navy 27-20, and we all know the Pirates lost to Navy in double overtime, so very even there. Navy lost to Houston 43-36, so Temple was right in the game with the Cougars. Last week, Cincinnati beat Temple 23-3. They gave up just 2 field goals, though, in the second half. Temple did against a very good Bearcat team. So just by looking at those numbers, you can tell that this Temple Owl team is playing better. They lost early on. They lost their opener to Duke 30-0. They do have wins over Lafayette, UMass, and South Florida, as we said, with the 3-8 record, 1-6 in the American Athletic Conference. But when you look at tape of this Temple team, what do you see?
Well, obviously, I don't see much on offense on them, but we've seen them in crossover tape. Really good athletes. Obviously, a lot of transfers. Guys that are kind of taking Coach Drayton's molding. And when you look at them on defense, they're physical. They fly around. They've got good athletes. And I think the biggest difference between this team and last year's team is that they're playing hard. And this is the AAC. And if you don't, as you saw Saturday in this league, if you don't play well, you can get your butt whipped.
Latrell Scott joining us after East Carolina falls to Houston 42-3. Pirates trying to bounce back this week against the Temple Owls. When you look at your coaching situation, obviously you've been a head coach, so you kind of bring a different type of maturity to the staff that some of these guys don't quite have because they haven't been a head coach. But being a head coach kind of adds to the whole deal, doesn't it?
Well, I'm appreciative of my time as a head coach. I tell people, if you look at my 20-year career is probably split half head coach, half assistant, which gives me a good perspective for both sides. But I get the opportunity to work with a great guy in Coach Houston and a great staff. And, the reason that I made the decision to leave Norfolk State to come here was to be a part of a group that I knew would let me have some say, let me have some input, but also just give me the opportunity to learn and grow from people that, that I didn't know that weren't a part of my network.
And, when you look at this coaching staff, obviously it's a close-knit group. It's a big family, as is the entire Pirate football team. You're one big family. But when you're on a coaching staff like this and you have a bad game like the Houston game, I mean, if you guys aren't close and aren't a tight-knit group, then, things can go awry quickly. I mean, you've got to everybody's got to kind of look around, bounce back quickly, and get this thing right?
Well, no question. I mean, no one takes more criticism than Coach Houston, and then then it falls down to Donnie and Blake, and with those guys being a family, like you said, it's up to all of us to make sure that we support them and that they have they have our backing, and the next thing we have to do is just get in and make sure that everybody's doing everything as a staff to make sure that our players are putting out the correct product on Saturday, because obviously you've seen that when we're on, and we were just off on Saturday.
When you think about the passing game coordination and you as the passing game coordinator, what all goes in with that as far as the week goes? When you start, your game planning and you get with Donnie with his game plan, how does all that intertwine?
Well, I mean, Coach Boyette and I, Raekwon and I, we meet separate on Mondays, and kind of giving everybody Sunday night and Monday to get everything together. So whereas Donnie's putting together the whole game plan, Shank and Chris Foster putting together the run game plan, Raekwon and I kind of, put together the throw game, and, we'll get together this afternoon and throw all of our ideas on the board and see what sticks. But it's just one of those things that gives me the ability to work, along with our other receivers coach and Donnie, to say, hey, this is what, we think fits for Holton this week. This is how we can get CJ the ball. This is how we can get Isaiah the ball. This is how we can get Ryan the ball. But it's a collaborated effort. Unfortunately, Donnie takes the blame for it, but all of us are involved in what we do on offense.
Yeah, it is funny when things go right, it goes one way. When things go wrong, it goes the other way. But you're exactly right. I mean, it's a total team effort. When you think of the tight end position at East Carolina, when Coach Houston got here, that room was just about non-existent. And you guys have done a great job of getting some guys in there, because the tight end position is very important in this offense.
Well, we're very fortunate. I mean, I get the opportunity to walk into a meeting room every day, and I've got Shane Calhoun, I've got Ryan Jones. CJ's actually in the tight end room with us. Aaron Jarman's in there. So they're a great group of talented and dynamic kids. I'm leaving Tyler Savage and Macy O'Donnell out. So, I mean, I've got, tight ends and receivers in the room with me, and they're a great group of kids, and they're great to work with. And, a lot of times even better people than they are football players. But, just what we've been able to do, fortunately, in terms of recruiting and adding talent through the transfer portal has been great for us. And we're going to have to continue to do the same, because, unfortunately, these guys can't stay with me forever.
I was going to say, and Ryan Jones is one of those. Ryan Jones just brings a certain skill set that I think almost on a game-to-game basis, you have to look for ways to get him the football, because he can do a lot of things.
He's as talented as the day is long. I mean, there are not many people that could, leave the Big 12 playing linebacker and come to our league and play tight end and probably be an all conference caliber, type. But, then when you look at Shane has a different skill set than Ryan. And, obviously CJ's more of a receiver type. But, when you look at having to kind of plan the pass game, you've got Isaiah, you've got CJ, you've got Jalen Johnson, you've got Ryan, you've got Shane, and then you can throw the ball to Keaton, So there are a lot of, there's a lot of good things, there's a lot of positives that go into what we're trying to do to get these guys the ball.
Talk about some of your guys a little bit in depth. Talk about Ryan a little bit and what he brings to the table, not only on the field but off the field, because you guys are obviously a close-knit group as far as that goes. But what kind of guy is he off the field?
He's a great guy off the field. My son spends a ton of time with this position group, and I ask him every week who's his favorite, and he's got a different one. Ryan's the type of guy. He's competitive as the day is long on the field. He's fiery. He's a tough guy, but off the field, he's somebody's son, and very respectful, very polite. When he spends time with my family and other people, very very giving and caring guy. And Shane's the younger one, of the two, but Shane's probably the one that is kind of the glue guy. Shane kind of keeps the room together. Helps me manage everybody's thoughts and emotions and all that. I can go to Shane and say, hey, what's going on, with this? And when you talk about CJ, I mean, we know where CJ was this time in the spring.
Yeah.
And I'm just so proud of him, and, just glad that he decided to do the right things, and he's having a great season. If we can continue, him on his track, then that's what coaching football is all about. Coach Houston and I sat down with him and said, hey, here's what we need you to do to be a part of this, and he's done everything that we've asked him to this point. Tyler Savage is a young man that doesn't play a ton, but Tyler's going to be a guy that once Ryan leaves has the ability to kind of slide into the hybrid tight end role. Aaron Jarman's a senior, and he's given us snaps on special teams, giving us snaps in run-in pass situations. So it's just a great group of kids to be able to be around. And like I said, I'm very fortunate, to walk into the meeting room and be able to have fun with those guys. And, we make it a big deal that we spend time in the meeting room, we spend time on the field, but we spend a good amount of time together away from football, which I think is important.
When you think of CJ and what he's gone through, and as you said, this time, he was having some issues during the off season. Wasn't part of the program for a while. He sat down with Coach Houston and yourself, and you guys told him, hey, here's what you got to do to come back. And he's come back, and I think you're seeing a lot of the maturity with CJ, because a lot of times it seemed like in the past the teams knew they could get inside his head, but you don't see that as much anymore.
Well, it's still a work in progress, and
yeah.
I think he gets frustrated at times because he's so competitive. CJ and Ryan are alphas. I mean, they're extremely competitive, and a lot of the things that you see out of those guys is they just want to be able to make plays. Isaiah Winstead's the same. Jalen Johnson's the same. We've got guys that have the ability to make plays, and they want to make plays. But just getting back to CJ, the thing that people don't realize about CJ is that the biggest thing to him is he wanted to stay at ECU, and he had to make the changes and do the things that he needed to do to stay at ECU. Like ECU, football, the university, Greenville, it was important to CJ to stay here, and I think that's something that a lot of people need to know and understand and appreciate.
Yeah, the former D.H. Conley standout. He played so many years with Holt Nailers at D.H. Conley, and the two come over to East Carolina and have been really, really good as far as the connection goes. The problem with receivers and tight ends and the whole thing is there's only one football, and sometimes that's hard for especially young players to understand.
Well, definitely. I think it's something that Coach Boyette and myself and Coach Kirkpatrick, Coach Houston, it's just a constant conversation about staying focused, being unselfish, being willing to be a part of it. And the thing about it is, if you look at them, they all get the touches. And I think that's something that, it's a credit to our offensive staff, because when we sit down, we're trying to find ways to keep everybody involved in the game because we do have so many weapons. And, the other thing with me being, the passing game coordinator, I want to give the ball to Keaton, too. He's pretty good.
I'd say Keaton is. I never thought I would see a running back at East Carolina who was as fast as Chris Johnson when he was here. And I'm not sure if Keaton is that fast, but he sure plays the role, doesn't he?
He makes a huge difference in what we do. He's a lot of the reason that these receivers are able to get open and get the looks that they get, because, if you're going to play an 8-man box to try to stop Keaton, then it gives the ability to get the ball outside to those guys. So he is as important in the pass game as any of those receivers.
And the other thing about Keaton Mitchell, I think, that we've seen this year, he shows remarkable patience a lot of times as he gets to the hole. There may not be a whole lot there, and then all of a sudden he'll dart through a crack, and the next thing you know, everybody's chasing him.
Well, Keaton's got a ton of physical ability, but the thing that's helped Keaton is Chris Foster. Chris spends a ton of time with him. Hey, this is how we should do this. This is how we should do that. Now, we can't take credit for the 70-yard touchdown runs, but Keaton has gotten better in knowing, is it an A gap run, is it a B gap run, is it a C gap run, and sometimes it takes a little bit more patience. And when you're a fast back like that, sometimes you just want to get to it. But I think, Chris has done a tremendous job with him, just making sure that he knows what he needs to do to get to where he needs to get, and that every run doesn't have to be a touchdown.
In your days at Norfolk State, Richmond, Virginia State, did you ever have a running back close to that speed?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Obviously, we were at Tennessee with some pretty good backs, and Foster and Monterio Hardesty, but I don't think either one of those guys, even though they're NFL guys, I don't think they were as fast as Keaton is. Keaton's electric.
Monterio Hardesty, a name from the past in eastern North Carolina. He was an outstanding running back. When you look at being a head coach at such a young age, how did that affect you in your career, Coach?
I had no business being a head coach at such a young age. I knew what I was doing. Coach Houston and I joke all the time. I was a much better head coach at 44 than I was at 34. But life puts you in situations and teaches you lessons. And, I made some mistakes back then as a young head coach, but it prepared me for what I had to go through down the road. But I wouldn't change the experience. I value every university, every kid that I've ever coached. And it's just, kind of set me up for where I am now. I get the opportunity to be a part of a great program in a great place. And, and Coach Houston and I talk about head coach things sometimes. So it gives me the ability to kind of help people, and just do it in a little bit different way.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, too, as a head coach, and every head coaching job is different. I think Coach Houston would probably sit down and tell you that this head coaching job at East Carolina is completely different than the one at James Madison in some ways. Now, in some ways, they're obviously very similar because you're the chief operating officer for the entire football program, but there's a lot that goes on, and there's a lot that goes on in being a head coach that's different than having your own room and some of the time restraints and some of the stuff like that, isn't it?
Well, no question about it. I think, yesterday, coming off of the loss on Sunday, there was one person in our building that could get our guys rallied, and that's the head coach. And when you've been a head coach, the thing that I'm doing in my room is I'm trying to deliver his message. But obviously, people don't realize that the head coach is the guy that makes the team go. And I thought Mike did a tremendous job yesterday in our team meeting of kind of refocusing our guys, saying, hey, here's what we did wrong. Here's how we're going to fix it. And our kids believe in it. And that's why we were able to go out and practice last night. But, having that experience, it definitely helps me manage my own room, because I think the way that I try to manage, Ryan and CJ and Shane and those guys is trying to be the head coach of that room.
I think that's one of the things that we saw on Saturday, despite the frustrations and everything. I think a lot of us that follow the program very closely walked away and said, that wasn't a Mike Houston football team. That wasn't the East Carolina football team we know. And it's just one of those things that, as you said, you got to look at the tape, figure out what went wrong, and then correct it. You got two more shots at it. You got Temple on the road this week, and then the bowl game. We don't know where the bowl's going to be. We don't know who the opponent's going to be, but still a tremendous opportunity. And one of the other thoughts that I think I've seen that a lot of people were talking about, that once you get to 6 wins that you're satisfied. I don't think anybody in the East Carolina program was satisfied with 6 wins. I think that was a goal, but I don't think that had anything at all to do with anything, because in that Cincinnati game, I don't think anybody was sitting there saying, well, we got 6 wins, let's just go out there, because that Cincinnati game was winnable. There was some breaks that went against East Carolina, and I think that was the frustrating part in that game, is that the Pirates came so close to really, winning a game that would have put them in the championship chase. But I don't think the 6 wins had anything at all to do with it. Do you?
No, I don't believe so. I think the main thing is, if the Cincinnati game cost us the Houston game, you can't let the Houston game cost you the Temple game. And I think that was our main focus last night, was just kind of refocusing everybody, saying, hey, we're going to recommit. Not that the kids were uncommitted, but we're going to recommit to this thing, and we're going to finish our season, the way that we all know we should. And like I said, I mean, we pride ourselves on playing a certain way, on looking a certain way, on competing a certain way, and we just didn't do that on Saturday. And when you don't do that, the leadership has to step in and say, okay, guys, here's our plan. Here's how we're going to fix it. Our players owned up to some things that they could have done better. So I think, going into practice on Tuesday, it'll be a much more energized and focused bunch.
East Carolina at Temple, 1 o'clock kickoff coming up on Saturday at Lincoln Financial Field, of course, the home of the Philadelphia Eagles. When you play in a big-time stadium like that with a very small crowd, does that make it difficult?
I don't think so. I mean, our motto is we bring our own energy, we bring our own juice every day. We know that we'll have some Power fans in the stands, but the people that we're feeding off of more than anybody else are the guys in the game and the guys on the sidelines. And unfortunately, because of the size stadium that they play in, Temple won't have a great crowd. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we bring our own energy, we bring our own excitement. And if we're making plays on offense and defense, then our bunch will be excited.
When you look at Temple on defense, what concerns you the most about their D?
They get pretty good pressure on you. I think they're one of the top tackle for loss or sack teams in the country, and we've got to make sure that we stay out of long yardage situations, because that's when those guys are best. Obviously, they can pin their ears back and try to blitz you and twist you and rush the passer. So I think the main thing for us is to try to make sure that on first downs we're gaining yardage, so that we're in 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 6 and not 3rd and 7 plus, because that makes it a completely different ball game. But, defensively what scares you is their ability to put you in those long yardage situations.
Thanksgiving week this week. What are the Pirates going to do this week? Will they have Thanksgiving on Thursday with the traditional meal there? Will the guys get to go home at all as far as being with their families, the ones that can get home? What's the situation there?
Well, our plan is obviously we're going to have a normal Monday, Tuesday, normal Wednesday, and we'll have a Thanksgiving brunch on Thursday with the entire team and families, and then the guys will have the afternoon off, and then Friday morning, we've got to get up and have our normal Friday, and we'll head out to Philadelphia like we always do.
So you'll have the normal Friday walkthrough early, then catch the plane probably sometime shortly afternoon to head to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for the game against the Temple Owls. Did this season fly by for you, Coach, or was it a long year?
It's never a long year. I mean, I think Donnie says it all the time. It's like week 17 or something. But when you're watching the games, our games are in a folder. And, I completely remember the NC State game being the first game on the folder. That was the top game, and now we're at the bottom. So, you can't believe that the time flies so fast. But, when you're with a great staff and you're with a great group of young men, it's not work. We have a good time together, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And it's just, football is just the best sport out there because it's such a team-oriented sport. And if one guy doesn't do his job, that can blow up the whole play. And I've always said it that just football and just everything that goes into it, that it's just, I don't know, it starts in August and it's 100 degrees and 100% humidity. And then you get in November and you get some of these, cooler type games. You guys have been lucky. I don't think you've had any weather games in November as of yet. Now, Philadelphia could be a different story. Right now, we think it's going to be okay, but it could change. It won't be like Buffalo this week with those 66 inches of snow, will it? But still, it's just the best sport out there.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great game, and it takes a lot of people to make a football program go. And just going back to the other night, I mean, from our staff to our players to John Williams over in strength conditioning. I mean, to a man and woman, because obviously we've got women in our program. Everybody felt a certain way on Saturday night, and Sunday everybody came to work with a goal to make sure that we don't feel that way next Saturday.
That's a big-time goal coming up as East Carolina tries to close out the season with a win. 7-5 would be the record if the Pirates can knock off the Temple Owls. What's going to be the key to winning this game, Coach?
I don't want to sound cliche-ish, but I think offensively we got to put points on the board. I think that's job one for us is to try to go out and make sure that we can get the ball in the red zone and score touchdowns and, not have to kick field goals. And, the more that we can have the ball and keep Blake and the defense off the field, then the better we are. We've obviously got to be sound on special teams and continue to play well. But I think the key to the game on Saturday, in a nutshell, is just playing power football. And I think, we've shown people what power football is and what we want it to look like. And if we play power football on Saturday, we'll be successful.
I was going to say, was that one of the biggest frustrations of the day is that Houston had given up so many points throughout the year to everybody else, and it just seemed like that something was off kilter that the Pirates couldn't get it in the end zone?
Well, yeah, it's just one of those things, and I've never been a part of a game where you don't have any penalties, you don't have any turnovers.
Yeah.
Outcomes like that, but it's just, there's a reason that everything happens, and unfortunately, it happened to us on Saturday, but it gave us the ability to say, hey, you guys need to clean some things up. You guys need to refocus and get yourselves together so that you can finish Temple in the bowl game the right way.
Sounds like you guys are on the way. Latrell Scott joining us on our show. Coach, we won't hold you any longer. We know it's kind of a weird week with the holiday on Thursday, so we'll get you out of here a little bit early, but we certainly appreciate your time as always. Thanks so much for coming on with us to preview the big matchup with Temple. We'll see you on the plane on Friday, and look forward to Pirate football coming up this Saturday.
Brian, thanks for having me on. We appreciate your support.
All right, Latrell Scott, passing game coordinator, tight ends, and inside receivers coach at East Carolina. We'll take a commercial break right now. We'll talk high school football coming up in our next half hour. Jeff Craddock from Tarboro, Tori Nowell from New Bern as two area teams continue their fight for a possible state championship. Back with more after this.
This is a Pirate Radio Sports Break presented by Ron Ayers Motorsports, Highway 11 north of the airport in Greenville. ECU basketball is set to face Indiana State today in the first round of the Gulf Coast Showcase. Tip-off is scheduled for 1:30. ECU women's basketball beat Charleston Southern 64-31 yesterday at Minges Coliseum. Kim McNeil's ball club was led by Danae McNeil's 17 points. The Pirates are 4-1 on the season and will return to action this weekend for the Cavalier Classic. Former ECU defensive back Deshaun Amos and the Toronto Argonauts upset the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 24-23 in the 109th Grey Cup in the CFL last night. Former ECU offensive lineman Stanley Bryant plays for Winnipeg and has 2 Grey Cup championships. This is Amos's first Grey Cup trophy. And the ECU Players Lounge returns this afternoon. You can hear all the players coming up at 3 o'clock on Pirate Radio Live. This has been a Pirate Radio Sports Break. I'm Shirley Rhodes.
This is Stephen Igo. You've heard from me plenty on Pirate Radio Live and perhaps have read some of my work on hoistthecolors.net. Now, get an extension of our in-depth coverage on the Hoist the Colors podcast. From game previews to immediate post-game analysis to emergency podcasts for breaking news, we've got you covered. A cast of guest co-hosts from fans, former coaches, and other writers join me for 2 podcasts weekly to break down all things ECU athletics. Subscribe to Hoist the Colors now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelch and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop.
Have you ever seen those exotic aquariums like the guys do in Las Vegas on television? You ever thought about having one of these aquariums in your business? It's more affordable than you think. This is Hal Pruitt with rentafishtank.com. We can make having an aquarium in your business turnkey with no work, cleaning, or hassles for you. Rentafishtank.com creates a relaxing atmosphere and keeps children occupied. Rentafishtank.com already services many dental, pediatric, and doctor offices, plus hospitals and senior living centers. Check us out at rentafishtank.com.
Hey Pirate Nation, this is Amanda Houston, and when it came time to make the game-winning play for relaxation at our house, I made the right call to Jamie Lang and Carolina Hardscapes. Jamie and his team built the backyard oasis of our dreams with a beautiful custom paver patio, outdoor lighting, and fireplace. Make your backyard incredible and call Carolina Hardscapes today at 364-1201 or visit their showroom on Fire Tower Road across from Bostic Suck. Go Pirates!
Pirate Radio.
We're going to be bigger, faster, stronger, and older. That's always a good combination.
The voice of the Pirate Nation. You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities. Community owned, community powered. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back on this Monday. East Carolina and Temple, 1 o'clock kickoff coming up on Saturday. We're going to talk high school football, hopefully in just a bit. We're trying to get up with Jeff Craddock, the head coach at Charborough. Charborough's Vikings are the number 1 seed in the 1A East bracket. They'll take on Northampton County. Northampton at 11-2 and Charborough at 11-1. Vikings' only loss was to the Hertford County Bears earlier in the season, much earlier in the season. The other half of that 1A bracket features Rosewood out of Goldsboro at 9-4 and Northmore at 13-0. So that's your 1A East bracket as we continue on with the high school football playoffs. The other area team that's involved still, New Bern from the Big Carolina 3A, 4A. The Bears are 12-0, and they'll take on the 11 seed Roseville coming up. Roseville at 10-3 on the year. That'll be on Friday night in 4A East semifinal. The other East semifinal has the number 1 seed, undefeated 13-0 Hillside, taking on number 12 seed Raleigh Millbrook. Millbrook at 12-1, Hillside at 13-0. Some gaudy records in that 4A bracket. While we're trying to track down Coach Craddock, let's look at the 3A East bracket. Northern Nash is the number 1 seed at 13-0 on the season. Triton is the 28th seed. Triton's been one of those big surprises. You always get one just about every year. They are a 28th seed at 8-5 on the season, taking on the Knights of Northern Nash. Northern number 1 seed in the 3A East bracket bracket at 13-0. Terry Sanford at 11-2 in the 7 seed takes on the 3 seed Fayetteville 71st. 71st at 13-0. So a little Fayetteville flavor in that other side of the 3A East bracket. And in 2A play, little flavor from the East Central 2A. Number 12 seed Wallace Rose Hill at 11-2, taking on the top seed Princeton at 12-1. And Princeton has put up some gaudy numbers so far in these playoffs. And then number 3 seed Whiteville, the Wolfpack, at 12-1 on the season. Got a late field goal to advance recently. Number 2 seed East Duplin, their opponent, East Duplin, and the Panthers at 12-1 on the season. Now we're having some problems catching up with Coach Craddock, so we will get you caught up with Pirate basketball. According to the folks over at East Carolina, that 1:30 tip for Pirate basketball in the Gulf Coast Showcase against Indiana State will be a 2:30 tip. So it's going to be about an hour delay as far as that goes. That came over from Ryan Robinson in East Carolina. So we're looking at about an hour delay for Pirate basketball on this Monday in the Gulf Coast Showcase. Indiana State and East Carolina matching up in that first round matchup from down in Florida. Pirates, we're scheduled to play at 1:30 now. That game is set for a 2:30 tip. All right, we'll continue to try to get up with Coach Craddock. We'll try to get up with Tori now. We'll take a commercial break, come back with more on our show for you after this.
The Angus Grill is your premier spot for the best burgers, cheesesteaks, and brisket sandwiches around. Join us for our unmatched variety of burger combinations, from the mushroom bacon Swiss burger to the jalapeno popper burger to the original Angus classic. Pair that burger with our amazing onion rings, tots, fries, or sweet potato fries. Angus Grill, with 4 amazing locations in eastern North Carolina, including Winterville near Pitt Community College, on Jarvis Street in uptown Greenville, and on Statensburg Road near the hospital. It's the best burger around, guaranteed.
BMS Builders is your premier custom builder in eastern North Carolina. With homes in Blackwood, Mills Creek, Dalton's Cove and Farmville, and Belmar and Ayden, they're constantly expanding. Now to Laurel Glen and Sarah's Way, plus the new duplex community at Abigail Trails. BMS Builders can build the home of your dreams. Just ask Dr. Dennis Ross in Greenville or ECU football coach Mike Houston. They built their homes, and they can build yours as well. Call 916-1578 for BMS Builders.
Oh, that's my piece of the shakaroni. That's the biggest one we make.
They donate $1 from every shakaroni to the Papa John's Foundation.
Dang, that's huge. If the hoop was as big as that pizza, maybe it'd have made some of your free throws. Somebody save me a slice. Where'd he come from?
Hey, Pirate fans, Papa John's is the MVP move for game day or any day. Place your order online at papajohns.com and sign up for Papa Rewards. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza. Go Pirates! Before you hit the road this travel season, be sure to get your tires inspected by the tire guys at Greenville Auto World. The Greenville Auto World service team sells all the top brands and economy tires if you need a new set. Need an oil change, state inspection, or AC repair? Greenville Auto World can work on any type of vehicle, and the monthly oil change special is only $29.99. Make an appointment now by calling 364-8730. For award-winning service, trust Greenville Auto World.
Hi, this is Parker Bunch. When I'm not hitting dingers or going viral, I'm listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities. Community-owned utilities mean local control, low rates, and high reliability. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back on this Monday, talking high school football now for the rest of our show. We've been to the 4A East semifinals. The semifinals all over the East set for this Friday night, but in 4A play, number 2 EC New Bern at 12-0 taking on Roseville. And Troy now, their fine coach, joins us. And Coach, you had those shorts on the other night on a cold night, but they turned out to be lucky shorts. You guys were able to survive a close game, weren't you?
Yes, sir. It was a football game. And, you know, I tell people all the time, man, that's what high school football is all about right there.
It was really one of those matchups that I always thought the Bears had control of the game, but Durham Jordan, and they came in as a 23 seed. They were 4-6 when the playoffs started, so they had a couple of wins, upset wins to advance. They're 6-6 on the year, but man, they ran the ball really well against your Bears.
Man, those guys lost some close games. If you go watch their film, man, they're one of those teams. They score back and forth with the teams and put a lot of pressure on you to make sure you score. You know, they weren't doing a good job of stopping people. But if you watch their film, you're talking about Hillside's the number 1 seed in the East. They lost to Hillside by 1 point. And they were going back and forth at it. And then Southern Alamance is in their conference. You know, Southern Alamance has lost to Millbrook on Friday night, and they lost to them by like 5 or 6 points. So, you know, they were a great football team. They lost a lot of games early in the season because they were missing a few players. But they gelled together really well at the end of the season. So we knew those guys were playing their best football, so we knew what we were getting into before we got into the game.
Were you surprised, though, that they were able to run the football like they did?
No, because you know it's a lot of different factors that go into it in playoffs. You know, when traditionally you're a team who runs the ball a few times and then runs a lot of screens, you know, a lot of times your guys are prepared to stop the screen game and all that. But now when you decide you're going to run the ball 50, 60 times a game, you know it's a different ball game there.
Yeah, it really looked like that. Like I said, New Bern was in control. You take the opening kickoff about 60 yards, and then you score on your first play. And I really thought, hey, this is going to be a quick one. They're going to be out of here by halftime, and it's going to be 28-0 or something. They're going to cruise. But I give credit to Jordan. And they had 2 outstanding running backs, and they didn't break any real long runs, I don't think. But they had a lot of short runs that kind of just, you know, they had some ball control type offense. They didn't turn it over, and it was really a great performance by a team, I think, that was outmanned. I think New Bern had a lot better talent on the field. But when you look at your ball club, what are some of the things you have to do better going forward to take on this Roseville team?
I mean, in the playoffs, everything's about matchups. So, I mean, what you did last week doesn't matter, and the week before doesn't matter. You just got to focus on what you got to do the following week. You know, that's the big thing. And the one thing I tell our guys all the time is just never get complacent. You know, it doesn't matter what seeding anyone is in the playoffs. Any given Friday night, you come out there and lose. So our guys just continue to play better and just figure things out. That's one of the big things for us, just understanding what the team wants to do and what they're trying to do. Like, we knew coming into the game Friday night that the other team didn't want our offense on the field, so we knew they were going to try to stall the ball out with it against us.
And that they tried to do, and they did a pretty good job with it, but the Bears were able to win 38-33 to advance to the Eastern semifinals. What do you see on tape of this Roseville team, Coach?
I mean, of course, you know, they got the number 1 receiver in the country on the team. He's a great football player. But, you know, they got an offensive line. They got 2 running backs with over 1,000 yards. You know, the offensive line is taking care of business out there. And they got some other wide receivers that are really good also. So you can't just focus on one kid. I mean, I think they're the same team as they were last year minus the quarterback. And I think the quarterback they got this year is not bad at all. You know, so I think he's managing the team well, and he's doing what he got to do to help them continue to win games. And, of course, they've lost some close games also.
Is this going to be your team's toughest test to date? Does this team compare with anybody else, say, in your league, the Big Carolina 3A, 4A, that kind of thing?
I don't know. We say every week's the best. You know, for us, every week's a big game for us because it's only game of the week. And, you know, we really try not to compare teams because they're not the same. You know, when we start playing Raleigh teams, just the size of the receivers change from what we see here in Eastern North Carolina. You're talking about the kid from Roseville, 6'4", then there's another kid right there on the other side of him, 6'3", and then the other guys are 6'1", compared to what we're used to seeing here. We're used to seeing the 5'8" guys who play wide out and the 5'7" guys who are really speedy and bursty. And, you know, Havilah has one kid that's a taller kid that plays, but we don't see that often. You know, so that's the big difference for us when we start playing teams from the Raleigh area and we're preparing ourselves for the playoffs, is just understanding the height and jump ball advantages and stuff that we got to work on, and just making sure we're super disciplined when doing things.
You got to like the atmosphere that you guys have at home, because obviously New Bern's been a power for a long, long time, and I had a chance to see Bobby Curlings the other night for the first time in probably a couple of years. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's on your staff helping you out. You call on him every day, but just the atmosphere you guys have. You got food trucks, you know, in that one corner over there, and you got all kinds of fans, and it's an event in New Bern during the playoffs, isn't it?
Absolutely. Our student session is one of the best ones in the country, I believe. You know, I love the Caruso Crazies. I go talk to them before the game starts, tell them to give us all they got, and I'll give them all we got. You know, just the fans, and of course, you know, here growing up, kids breed football here in this area. You know, it's just a Craven County thing. And like the fans, they expect us to play well, you know, and if we're not playing well, they're gonna let us know about it. You know, even when we're playing well, they're still going to let us know about it. And, you know, that's the pressure that our kids live with every day, understanding that they got to go out there and perform and play to the best of their abilities every Friday night.
Had to be pleased with how the Big Carolina 3A, 4A fared. Jacksonville, who struggled in league play, but they really they had a chance against Triton, almost advanced to the Eastern semifinals. Rose made it into the second round. I mean, you know, there are teams in that Big Carolina 3A, 4A that get you ready week in and week out for the postseason.
Absolutely. We're blessed to play in a great conference, and I tell people all the time, a lot of those 3A teams in our conference come play against some of the 4A teams in these other conferences and take care of business. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what classification it is. You got to get up out there and line up and play ball.
All right, what's it going to take for your Bears to advance to the Eastern Finals this week? What do you got to do this week?
We just got to make sure we take care of the ball. We played this team last year. We had like 4 fumbles that were like unforced, you know, just being crazy on our offensive side of the ball. And defensively, we just got to slow them down as much as possible, you know, so we can do what we do offensively. And I think we'll be fine. You know, I think their coach is taking over our program is really great. I think he's doing a great job with their program. But I think we just got to make sure that we understand that we have to do what we do. You know, we run the ball and we want to stop people defensively. So we just got to get back to doing that, and I think we'll be fine.
New Bern and the Bears set to take on the 11-seed Rollsville coming up this week. Bears once again at home. If Hillside wins, the Bears will go on the road for the Eastern Finals. If Millbrook wins that game, then New Bern would be at home. Troy, thanks so much for your time as always. We certainly appreciate it. I enjoyed interviewing the other day live right before the game, and it was fun being out at New Bern for that playoff game. It was kind of neat to get away from Greenville, get away from Channel 9 for a little bit and get down the road a piece. It was fun.
Yes, sir, man. I hope it was cold enough for you also.
Yeah, it was. It was getting that way. All right, Troy Now joining us. Thanks so much, Coach.
No problem. And go Bears.
All right, Troy Now, the head coach at New Bern High School. We'll take a commercial break right now. We'll continue on this Brian Bailey Show after this.
The Rick House is Eastern North Carolina's premier American-style restaurant and bourbon bar. Join us at the Rick House for mouth-watering steaks and made-from-scratch pastas. Check out the 16-ounce cowboy steak or the seafood delight pasta. Join us for our legendary brunch on Sundays from 10 to 2. The Rick House can feed your larger crowds with off-site catering and room for 125 in our adjacent banquet hall. The Rick House, American Provisions and Spirits, 710 Red Banks Road beside the bowling alley in Greenville.
Hey, I'm Holt Nailers. No one knows better than me how important it is as a quarterback to have protection on the field to be successful. My frontline team is critical to my success. For your frontline insurance protection, you need the team at Buck Insurance Agency. Buck Insurance Agency is your local team and have been helping customers like you for over 30 years with their insurance needs. When you need insurance protection, you'll get the whole team with Brian Buck and his staff. Call toll-free at 877-357-1966. Go Pirates.
This isn't your regular cola, so this isn't your regular cola ad. No beach parties or family barbecues here, just Nitro Pepsi, the first cola ever infused with nitrogen. So forget everything you thought you knew about soda, because that nitrogen gives us a whole new experience. Think an infusion of smaller bubbles for a cola that's got a lighter, smoother texture. And don't get me started on the pour. You don't pour this like any other cola. We're talking turn the can completely upside down and watch as those bubbles cascade into the glass to create a frothy, luxurious foam topping. Can your cola do that? I didn't think so. Unless you've got your own Nitro Pepsi, in which case cheers to your great taste. Because you already know that the only thing better than the pour is the unapologetic cola taste. What else is there to say? From the creamy foam to the smooth texture to its unbelievably delicious flavor, this is cola like you've never had it before. Time to bring your taste buds to the next frontier. Nitro Pepsi. Smooth, creamy, delicious.
Seared Chop House is Greenville's only true chop house. We're open 7 days a week. Seared combines a remarkable menu with an unrivaled atmosphere. Lunch or dinner at Seared is a quality-driven experience where we highlight a thoughtful approach to locally sourced ingredients and hearty, flavor-rich cuisine. We're firing up the grill at Seared, Greenville's only true chop house, located on Fire Tower Road at Bells Fork. Come see us at Seared 7 days a week. Be
sure to check out David Price Construction for all of your commercial or custom residential renovation and building needs. Run by ECU alumni, David Price Construction specializes in commercial projects, maintenance on facilities, and large-scale residential renovations and additions. Proud to be voted the Remodeler of the Year by the Home Builders Association of Raleigh-Wake County in 2018 and Best Business Commercial Remodel Project winner for 2020. David Price Construction, the proud ECU Home Services partner.
Do you need custom t-shirts, apparel, or promotional items for your business, organization, or event? Keep it local. Print it local with University Sportswear. UniversitySportswearENC.com is your one-stop shop for all promotional products for your business. With over 1 million items to shop from, UniversitySportswearENC.com offers high-quality products at prices to fit any budget. Visit UniversitySportswearENC.com for contact information and to get shopping. UniversitySportswearENC.com, the official sportswear provider of Pirate Radio.
It's the season for warmer clothes, hot apple cider, and changing leaves. But what doesn't change and what won't change is our commitment to your complete satisfaction each and every time you visit our dealership. Phelps Chevrolet in Greenville. Complete customer satisfaction isn't just a seasonal thing, it's delivered every day. That's why we are the place to find your next truck or SUV. Come in and get you one. Phelps Chevrolet. Visit today or see us on the web.
This is Jeremy Lewis, and you're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, working for our community, not for shareholders. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. On this Monday, Jeff Craddock is one of those guys that usually is always good whenever he says he's going to be. He must have had something come up, so we're not going to have him on our show today. His Vikings play in the 1A East semifinals coming up on Friday night as the number 1 seed taking on Northampton County. Northampton at 11-2 and Tarboro at 11-1 on the season. The other half of that 1A East bracket is Rosewood and Northmore, and those two winners will play the next week in the Eastern Finals. We got about 8 or 9 minutes to go in our show, and Clip Brock's going to join us, and we're going to kind of analyze what all went on Saturday. I know you guys had, about a 3-hour post-game show to kind of look at what happened. That had to be a miserable post-game show, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about it some more.
Yeah, I think so. We should add on to it. But, I think you come away from it, and it was kind of shocking because it just didn't look like the same team that we've seen the entire year, and maybe even the same team we've seen under Mike Houston.
Yeah, I mean, even at halftime, I was like, all right, well, second half rally coming. They'll figure some things out, get some stops on defense, and get this offense churning, and neither one of those things happened. It was a bad day.
Yeah, and when you think about what Houston had given up defensively, I mean, they've given up to everybody, and it kind of shows you that something was out of kilter with East Carolina offensively, and, I don't know if you can put a finger on it. They got to get a finger on it really quickly. As Coach Latrell Scott said, they've got to get that thing figured out and get the tempo and get that bad taste out of their mouth, and hopefully we'll see a much better Pirate effort coming up this week, and then the bowl game coming up. It's still too early to say what bowl the Pirates will be playing in, but you hear lots of things. You see lots of things with the bowl projections. You see the Fenway Bowl. You see the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So it'll be interesting to see where the Pirates end up.
Where you want to go, Bailey?
Well, I've told people, and people think I'm crazy, I'd like to go to Fenway just because I've never been to Boston.
Just for the experience.
Just the experience and to see Fenway Park in person, to see a game there. I think that would be kind of like the Pinstripe Bowl up in Yankee. I think that would be a real. Of course, the American doesn't have a tie-in with the Pinstripe, but the same kind of deal. Now, usually when you go to a bowl game, you're thinking like, let's go get warm somewhere and let's enjoy it on the beach. I think one of the obviously the best bowl game we've ever been to was the Hawaii Bowl, and one of the best bowl games I think we've ever been to was down in Florida, in Tampa. That was the last bowl win, I think, for East Carolina, the Beef O'Brady's Bowl. That was the win over Ohio.
Yeah,
and that was a great bowl because they did so much with the players, and they had like little contests by the pool, and they did a dinner for them and stuff like that. The bowl games are all about entertaining the players, families, bringing a bunch of people to a different site. If I'm a Pirate fan, I think Myrtle Beach would be an easy place to get to. You can go to Myrtle Beach on the day of the game. Just drive down for the game, drive back if you want to. You can go down for a couple of days. But it remains to be seen how this thing's going to play out, and whether or not the loss to Houston is going to cost East Carolina as far as the rankings of which team goes where.
Yeah, I mean, does it matter that much?
Yeah, that's what I was.
As an observer, to me, whether you're like Military, Myrtle Beach, Fenway, Boca Raton, I don't see one better than the other.
I don't think the Pirates especially want to go back to the Military just because they were there last year, even though they didn't play in the actual game, but they were there last year. But, of course, that's a definite candidate as far as which bowl the Pirates can go to. But and I thought the Military Bowl did a pretty good job with trying to orchestrate everything and some of the things that they did with the players. But the problem is there's only so many things you can do with the team. So if the team goes back to the bowl the next year, those same activities are probably going to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that would be something as far as that goes. So we'll have to wait and see.
They've already been to Boca Raton once this year.
That's right.
Not by design, but could be heading back there.
Went down to Boca Raton, the home of Florida Atlantic, and played so well in the USF game. That was a big win. That was a C.J. Johnson show that day. He played so well in that game, some one-on-one opportunities, and he took advantage of them. I think that's what we didn't see in the Houston game, guys taking advantage of one-on-one opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one play in particular. Winstead's got his guy beat, and Ehlers underthrows it, and Winstead still could have made the catch. But is
that the one from the sideline where the sideline was wide open, except for one receiver who was going straight down the field and somebody following him, but there was nobody else even around there.
Yeah, and in games ECU's won, we've seen those 50-50 balls go our way. We did not on Saturday, and everything. And then the defense was shocking too. I don't know what was worse, Bailey, the offense or the defense. I guess the offense, since they didn't score a touchdown. But Houston, time and time again, just guys running free over the middle of the field. That was shocking, too.
And it just seemed like Clayton Tune, if they put pressure on him, the pressure couldn't get to him.
He was good.
He was really good. I mean, he had, and it just seemed like he had the Pirates' number from the very beginning of the game. And like you said, Pirates have gotten off to some bad starts before, and they've always bounced back. And even at halftime, I thought there was still hope, still a chance. When you come out of halftime, you got to make a stop right away and get the ball back. And the Pirates weren't able to do that. And then Coach Houston said, kicking the field goal, he said the consensus was with some of the coaches in his earpiece that, hey, we got to get something on the board. We got to get something positive.
That did not go over well with the fans.
The fans, weren't real happy, but.
And I agree. I mean, at that point, you turn a four-possession game into a four-possession game.
If you go for it and don't get it, at least you've got them backed up deep in their territory.
Yeah.
Now, your defense hasn't stopped them yet, but at least, you got them backed up, and there's the odds are if you can get a stop, you're going to get good field position and go back down and maybe score a touchdown then. So, I was on team, let's go for it on that deal too.
And Billy Weaver brought up a good point. If you're kicking a field goal there and basically – almost waving the white flag at that point, why not put in Mason Garcia and get him a lot of reps? Instead, he gets, a 2 series, I guess, on Saturday, and we're going to need to see what we got in him at some point.
Well, you're right, because his first game right now is scheduled for a little bit of a big crowd at the Big House coming up in Michigan. That's next year's opening game, if in fact he is the starting quarterback at that time, which all indications are that he certainly will be. But, I think and maybe this week, and we'll hear from Coach Houston tomorrow, obviously, with his press conference, and then Donnie and Blake later on with the coordinators go on Wednesday night, but maybe there's a plan to give Mason even more of a say, maybe have a designated time that he goes into the game and runs a series. Which,
I hope so.
Which I think I think everybody on the staff kind of realizes the same thing, that we're coming down to 2 games, and you can play him in both games, and he can still redshirt. He'll still have. It's hard to believe he's been here a long time too, and he'll have 3 years left.
Yeah,
when he finishes. Crazy. So a great kid, and hopefully he'll be able to turn. He can spin a football. Now, there's no question about that. He can throw it. So we'll see how that plays out. Pirates double-digit favorites in the game. Were you surprised about that?
Against Temple?
Yeah.
Nah, I mean I think they'll bounce back. I think they'll be all right. I think that the team, it was never as good as we hyped it up to be, and it's not as bad as everybody thinks it is right now.
Yeah, usually that's the case. Usually that is the case. But that team that beat Central Florida beat UCF that night, and that team was rolling. That team had it all going on, and Dowdy Ficklin was cranked up and fired up, and it's just a bad taste in everybody's mouth right now. Hopefully they can turn that thing around, beat the Owls, and then get set for the bowl game wherever it might be. Before we let you go, we got to let you brag on your Commodores. They played
5 out of 6.
Played pretty well. That's amazing,
Played
really.
pretty well. We dominated, Bailey.
You dominated a AAA football team. Congratulations.
Win's a win. On the road, short
right
week.
there with you. Whew, they are a juggernaut.
And y'all beat some phony that folds up in primetime. Y'all's win wasn't that impressive.
Really? Well, no, it was fun to watch yesterday. I tell you, Michael Parsons, man, he can turn a game around. He turned that one around early. That strip sack early on just kind of set the tone.
I hate them all, Bailey, but Tony Pollard's helping me out. I'll say that.
Yeah, Tony Pollard.
That guy is explosive.
He is that. And they keep talking about, well, he should start over Zeke. Basically, what they did yesterday with both those running backs is what they should do every time. I mean, Zeke is good for those short yardage runs. He got a couple of touchdowns, but a couple of key third downs. And he has a very definite role. He's not the burst guy anymore. The burst guy is definitely Tony Pollard, and he had a couple of bursts in that game. And
it's almost like McCarthy was playing with his food at one point. They had 1st and goal, run it with Pollard, nothing. 2nd and goal, run it with Pollard. Then they bring in Zeke, and he scores a touchdown. Like, why didn't you just do that on 1st down? I don't know. But, they both you got to have that thunder and lightning type thing if you're going to be a good team.
And the thing about it is those two could meet in the playoffs again, and it could be in Minnesota again because, Philadelphia has that 2-game lead. The Eagles, if the Eagles had lost that game, that would have made for almost a perfect Sunday because that would have been. Blew it. Yeah, they did. They had a chance, and they certainly blew it. All right, coming up on Saturday, the season finale, I guess, the regular season finale for the Bud Light pregame tailgate. You guys are on the air. What time?
9.
There you go. Going to be early morning. Going to have breakfast up here, are you?
I hope we get more Country Mart. Those sausage dogs and cheese biscuits were awesome.
Wow. Well, we'll check in from Philadelphia coming up. East Carolina and Temple in that 1 o'clock
video.
kickoff.
I want this week, Bailey. You look for new ideas, right?
Right. Always looking for new ideas.
How about a cheesesteak? Where you got a couple of cheesesteaks and you do like a taste test.
Maybe we can do that. The problem with that is we have to do it the night before or something. Maybe I can talk those guys into doing something and we can do some cheesesteaks. Yeah, because sometimes I'll be honest with you now. I'm not one of those guys that thinks my work is really good all the time. Some of those videos aren't that great, but I try to capture something that's going on. This past week we had Holton in the background, and 2 weeks ago we were in the locker room. That turned out pretty good, but yeah, there were some weak ones in there. I'll give you that, but it's a lot of fun.
I want to see Brian Bailey eating a cheesesteak on camera.
Yeah, I'm not a cheesesteak guy either.
I'm not a cheesesteak. Man,
I don't know why you put a bunch of meat on it and put cheese whiz on it and you call it something great. I don't get all of that, but we'll check out the cheesesteaks from Philadelphia coming up this week. That's our show for today. We'll see you back here next week on The Brian Bailey Show.
This has been The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, and also brought to you by
Angus Grill, Bostic Sugg Furniture, Bojangles, East Coast Grading, Papa John's, Pepsi, The Rick House, Greenville Utilities, BMS Builders, Seared Chop House, The Gavigan Agency, Taft and Hagelin, Tiebreakers, and Greenville Auto World.
Join us next week for another edition of The Brian Bailey Show, right here on Pirate Radio. This is Pirate Radio, WGHB Farmville, 1250 and 92.7 FM Greenville, WDLX Washington, 930 and 104.1 FM Washington.
Put Little League ball together.